Welcome to the first episode of The Gift of the Jab. I'm accompanied here by my friend and training partner, Ciaran Clarke. Ciaran, thanks for having us.
Thanks very
First
much, man.
episode is underway. Let's address the elephant in the room. Kieran's knee injury here. So why don't you give us a rundown on the unfortunate circumstance we're in here at the minute?
Yeah, so obviously, as you can see, I'm in this brace now for the next couple of weeks. I had to have knee surgery there at the weekend, MCL repair surgery. Yeah, so I'm out of the tournament then. It's obviously a hard pill to swallow, obviously.
Yeah.
I tried my best. When I injured it was actually going with Nate, and I went for a takedown. I wasn't feeling it that day at all. I wasn't there. I was just, it was one of those days like you were just trying to get through the session.
Yeah.
And I was just going, and I think it was the last 10 seconds around, and I just went for a takedown. And when I went for it, then obviously you have no control of your weight because I'm trying to take it down, and you just fell in me. Your weight come down into my knee and just come down to the side of it. So, and I just heard it pop straight away, like, and even the two of us are like, it was more like, it wasn't even the pain, it was more like...
It was one of them freezing moments where we just kind of look at each other and go, oh, because when I came down on it, like, because we were in a corner, there was a group on either side, we were in a real confined space, and I was trying my best to, like, manage the space I was in and obviously not get taken down, and you were trying to take me down, and there was resistance against resistance. There was, like, a lot of resistance against a lot of resistance, but then when the resistance finally gave, your knee just went, and I just knew it wasn't good. Do you know what I mean? I was like, and then I was like, oh.
And I was more that, like, it was more like the two of us were like, no, like, it wasn't, like, obviously it was painful, but it wasn't like
I think them type of things, they just happen so fast that you don't even have a second to think. It's just like, that didn't feel right. It's just one of them ones.
Oh, so. I just asked him, it just popped, and but yeah, like that, went to got the MRIs, physios. I was just going to see how I could manage it for the next 4 weeks, and then he was like he did the tests and all that, and like when they done it, like it was like, my knee was completely moving the way it shouldn't, so, and I was like, right, and I was like still ignorant to it, and I was like, oh no, like, I was just saying to the physios and that, like, I actually work with a fella back home, Robbie Smith. He works with the Olympic team, like, he was away in Paris there, and like, he was like, oh look, Ciaran, if this is up to us, like, we'd be in a round table, we'd be talking, and they'd be like, you wouldn't be doing it. But I just rang Dave and John, and I was like, look, this is what happened, I'm doing it. And they didn't have a choice really, so it probably wasn't even fair on them. But I was doing it, I was going to the fight, I was doing it, and then the physio was like, he knew I didn't probably take in how serious the injury was. And he was like, look, will you talk to a surgeon? Like, and I was like, look, I was going to waltz in there to talk to him and tell him what I was going to get the surgery. After the fight I was doing it. I was in a constant battle with myself. I was like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, But I think what really did was when I jumped up in the bed, the surgeon literally, like I said, he was like doing the tests. And when he done it, like, he just was able to, like, move my whole knee. And I think when visually I was looking at it, I was like, oh, right, okay.
That's definitely not right.
I can see now, right, if something happens here, like, my whole knee's going to give. So I was like, do you know what?
I'm getting even heebie-jeebies thinking
So I just said, look, I'll get it done, and like I said, as hard as it was to do, it killed me, but I just had to do it, and I'm glad I did it now, because the seriousness of the injury and the pain I'm in and all that now is like, okay, right, I realise now if I'd have had to get something else that had happened to that man, it'd have broke me, it would have been really hard, imagine, like, it could have been 12 to 18 months out then with 2 ligaments gone, so
like, the best case scenario for you was what, 6 to 9 months of, like, your recovery process. So at least at the end of that 6 to 9 months you're going to be in a position where you can come back when it's 100%. So it's just a waiting game, and that's sometimes the problem with us fighters, or just too impatient, and we want to be fighting, we want to be doing this, we want to be doing that. It's just, you only maybe get to fight 2-3 times a year, so you feel like you're under pressure to get them fights in, when in reality, like, the year that you're not fighting this year, essentially, that's if you had a fought this year, it probably would have been a year less in, like, 5 years' time. Whereas because you're doing nothing this year, you'll get that year back, because you won't be taking damage, you won't be getting punched in the head, you won't be grueling training every week for the year. So you'll actually get that time back in years' time. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And even mentally, like, I'd be that kind of, break from it as well, and you'd be raring to go. You'd be mad to come back then and that as well. And even just like, obviously I can't do the physical now, but I'd be like, I love watching fights and that, and you can rep it out in your head, the positions and stuff, and you know yourself from watching lads or watching your opponents, like you can rep it out like as well in your head. So I'll be doing plenty of that. And
the visualization method is like really
man, it's mad. Yeah, you know, like I remember even John saying to me years ago, he was like, when you're going home on the bus and all that, I'd write me notes like from the session, and he like, you might have a look at them notes again, but it's actually it's extra training. So if you took that, say how many minutes to write all that down, I have to go through my head, right, now you caught me here or that. You're doing the position again, you know what I mean? So I'm doing plenty of that, and you know, I'd be kept busy anyway, you know. So yeah. Just like I said, I don't want to rush it. That's one thing's for sure. I don't want to rush it. I don't want to come back because, like I said, us being fighters were like mad to go.
Yeah.
But if I just don't want to rush it, because if that goes again, then it's another setback. And you just want to be really smart, you know. Definitely want to be really smart to it. But like I said, as hard as it was to do it, and I had people going over and watch me and stuff, and didn't want to let them down, and not that it's about that, but no, of course. But like, you know, I was just like, it's such a big opportunity, you know. And I think that was more it as well. I was actually sick that it happened with you, because I was like, he's in the, both of us are in the tournament, and like you're gonna be like, oh, you know, I knew, boy, you know.
I was melted, man. I was melted for like 2-3 days because I knew that was a bad.
Do you get me? So.
And then when I just remember when you're sitting off and you're icing on the side, I was just like, I just knew, because I was like, if that was any way of a smaller level one, you would have just been up walking and been grand, but like you were actually sitting there and hobbling, and I was like, I was watching it from the side, like, because my rounds are still going on, and I was just like, fuck, this isn't good.
Yeah.
But
so look, we're on the road, we're on the start of the recovery now, so
now, right?
Look forward now, isn't it?
Well, all the best with that anyway, bro.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So we'll move on, and we won't talk about the negative anymore. Move on to some of the positive sides of it. So just your story, and you know, getting into martial arts, and like, I know for me that when I was a young lad, I was kind of always looking for, you know, a route to kind of take me energy somewhere, or take me energy into somewhere positive. If it was around the kind of a lot of negativity in my life, and would you feel like that was the same for you, and why you got into martial arts? Like,
yeah, similar, very similar. Like I said, know you enough, Nate, that like we're kind of very similar age, very similar upbringings and stuff, and it's the exact same. Like, even just chatting to you like about like the love of the WWE growing up and stuff, and just even like all of that kind of like our generation would just kind of be, you know, like I said, grew up to kind of similar, and just to love it, like even with my brother and stuff growing up, you know, our two was always killing each other, killing each other, you know, interest in the WWE.
My little sister I didn't have any brothers, so my little sister was just me glorified little brother, so she got flung around.
She was the dummy, but so like, you know, just me and my brother growing up, and just loving the WWE. Actually, my uncle got us a game, like, and we were like obsessed with it, you know. Yeah. But she thought that all that was real, like, you know. Yeah. So if you had to ask 7 or 8 year old Ciaran what you wanted to be when you're older, it was a wrestler, you know what I mean? You know, it was this, all of us, we were all the same. So, and then growing up in that, just dabbed in a bit of boxing, like every young fella does, like, you know, did the usual stint, and did me sparring and stuff, sparring all the travellers, and you know, getting weighed in for the loads, and I never competed right in the end, but you know, things like that, like, you know. And then MMA was coming about, like, I was in school at the time, and my mates were doing it, and they were like, oh, you should try it and all that, and just went along and tried it with the lads one day, and I played Gaelic and football growing up, same as yourself probably, and I just loved how much harder it was than more physical it was, and
more demanding on you.
Do you get me?
And psychologically as well, because it's you on your own. There's no teammate to kind of pass the ball. 100%.
Yeah, and like I used to hate, like I would have been a little bit like I felt the pressure of the team. Yeah. Whereas when I'm on our own, I think for me it's a better. You know what I mean? I'm the captain of my own ship.
Yeah,
you know
I was the exact same. I used to feel like playing like football, 11 players on the pitch, 11 players or 15 players on the pitch. There was almost like I used to feel like there was a pressure to not be below all the other 10 guys. So if you were the worst one out of 10, then you are out of the other guys, you are really bad, because there's like, you have an 11 to 1 chance of being the worst player on the team if you're starting, like, and what's the chances? So I used to feel that pressure a lot. And then it was actually funny that when I went to play Gaelic, then I was actually better at that than I was football, because
Maybe it's more physical.
Yeah, more physical. Like I was because I was training MMA at that time as well. I was clattering lads, and I was always the one. You marked the 6 foot lad. I'm 5'7". Do you know what I mean? I was like fucking still about like what 60 kilos. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, because I was just quick.
You got stuck in,
And but like that transferred over. But I was in this exact same. I just felt like I only had to chat with Barry about this the other day. Is like when I joined MMA, like the whole individual responsibility of like, you know, I don't have to, if I make a bad pass, no one's gonna give out to me, or if I make a bad tackle, I'm not giving away a free. No, that type of stuff in MMA and jiu-jitsu, it's just your own like discipline and responsibility to the sport is what will excel you. And I just loved being like a lone ranger and doing something, because no one like really did MMA around then, because it was so 2010 maybe, or
same. I started in 2011.
So like who like no one was doing it, and I was like, right, this is gonna be my thing, you know what I mean, and I can create my own thing from it. Like, would you felt like that was the same for yourself?
Oh,
like?
Definitely, like there was one of Carl McCann was he used to train here a few years ago, but he was kind of like, he was one of the guys my age around the town doing it, and like that, like when people was doing it, it was nearly like you had a superpower back then. It was like MMA, you know. It was like people had that like kind of, you know,
aura about
them, a little bit, you know. So definitely would have been a bit like that. You know what I mean?
Do you remember Spicers? Do you remember like what Spicers were?
Spicers.
Yeah. So back in the day, I don't know. Do you remember the jump style and
all
the Spicers used to do jump style and wear them Adidas hoodies and stuff like that. And I remember like back when MMA was starting to come out, a few of the Spicers around Dublin used to do it, and you'd be like, oh, he does MMA, like he's an animal and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, this fella does MMA, and this fella's an animal fighter and Muay Thai and this and that. It was all the few of the Spicers who are the kind of older, like than me, would be doing it, and you'd be like, kind of like, oh, they must be animals and all. You know what I mean? But then when you get into it and you get good at it yourself, and then like they may have, and the thing is, it's like, oh, they do MMA. They probably did like 2 or 3 classes, and they're telling everyone they do it. Well, MMA fighters. You know what I mean? Like,
I give you a good one, because that's funny, because that's what it is, right? And then as well, see me mates at the time, I'd be laughing at them now, like I don't talk to them much anymore or anything, but sure, like we're all grown up and that. It was because we were mates through school and that, obviously, you know. But like they were telling me, we're training 6 months, we're gonna have a fight and this and that, and I was like, oh, the boys must be decent. First session I done with the boys, like I was just stubborn, like, and I got them in a headlock, the two of them, and tapped them out, and I was like thinking then, I must be good at this. The boys are doing this a while. But then when I kept going, I realised, the boys are only spoofers. You know what I mean? I was like, they're not going, you know.
It's like how can we like see him as hard as we can see him? Do you know what I mean? Without like, well, like we just say we're doing it a while and this and that, you know. But that's gas. And then take me back then. So you start MMA, you're doing it, your first amateur fight. What was that like?
Yeah, funny.
Nerve-wracking, I suppose.
No, it was, and like I trained hard for it and that, and it's actually probably something I don't talk about. Like, not that it's probably not asked, but I was fighting a guy from Rush. Remember? Paul Cowser's gym.
Paul Cowser's.
He was a Luke Terrell. He was a boxer. I remember all my fights, and anyway, I just went in. I think first 30 seconds, I just blitzed him with punches. 1 or 2 leg kicks each. Come in with a punch, he clinched me, picked me up, slammed me in my head, and I was out cold for I think I was out cold for a solid minute. And I'll tell you why I know how I was out that long. He picked me up, slammed me in my head, knocked me out.
Was that
just pure, like, I don't even know how it happened. He just picked me up and like a
just
half
lost
suplex.
Control of you almost.
Half suplex and just slammed me, and I just went the back of my head. And he this is how I know, because it was Stefan, remember my man Stefan Moriarty, I think he was the referee, but like he didn't even realise I was out cold. Your man gets me and puts an armbar on me, right? But the armbar is like,
you're just limp.
I'm just limp, right? And like they're like, oh, he's out, like, so I was out for a solid like minute or so, but like that was it, like that was my first experience, like, and like I don't remember. I get into the change room for 20 minutes, like didn't remember what happened. Couldn't tell you why, for breakfast, all this crack. And then when I come back around to myself, I was like, that was class. I want to do that again. And I think like even like, and that was actually in Drogheda at the time. So like I had like a few of my mates up and stuff, and like, you know, my family and stuff. I was only 16, and then like, you know, I was like, I want to do that again. I'd say they were thinking like, what's wrong with him? Like he started getting better in 30 seconds, knocked out cold, and then that was my first introduction to it, my first fight, and then I couldn't wait to do it again. And then it just got more, I just got more obsessed with it. It was mad, isn't it?
It's just I don't know. It's just the energy you get from start to finish. Even though obviously, it didn't go.
It went that way, yeah.
What way you wanted it to go, but I think the training camp, and then you get in, you maybe a little weight cut, and then you get in and you're facing off with him in the ring, and then the energy that brings. It's an addictive rush that you get. Like it's like chasing the dragon. Then you want to keep feeling that. Same feeling. But yeah, that's got to a start.
It's a mad one, yeah.
You were 16.
I was 16, had my first amateur,
That's young as well, isn't it? Like, cause back then it was like pro, like.
Yeah, no, it was mad now, yeah, and but like it just like I was training. My coach at the time was Conor Dillon, and he was a pro at the time, and he didn't have much training partners around, so I was just kind of like training with him, you know what I mean, like just doing a load of rounds with like all them, like so kind of that was training with adults early. Same as yourself, over in Barry's and that, like it's just. And then would knock into yous like you, Lee Hammond. My brother was grappling yous at the time, the grappling losers and all that. So I remember all yous like all of us were like that kind of crop coming up, and then your mate Adam, and then I forget the red of the guy as well.
Grant,
all those. I remember all yous because like obviously Barry Randy shows and that. All the
tournaments.
So I always just remember all those days.
I was actually only chatting to Barry the other day, and we were talking about. I remember there was an in-house competition Barry ran in Cayuso. Yeah. And in my division was me, Adam, Lee Hammond, and Alex Brophy.
Oh, hey.
Right. And I was just talking about my trajectory when I first started. I lost my first tournament. Came second, and then in that one that I was there with Lee, Alex, and Adam, I came first, and that was like for me. I was like I'm actually getting somewhere now, you know what I mean? Because I was like I'm actually seeing like progress. I came third, then second, then first. But we were just chatting to Barry, like of that tournament, the amount of people. So who competed at it? Me, Lee, active kind of black belts and stuff like that.
Still that
Marcus Field and Sam McNally. Who else?
Your man Richie, I think as well. Maybe Richie, that's from East Coast.
Richie Ivory, Richie Cosdale. Richie Book of Scan.
Yes.
I
remember all them.
But it's funny now. You look back, you fast forward because Barry was saying why am I doing these tournaments? And then we talked about it, and he's like, 15 years later, you see where everyone is, and you go, that's why I do it. Do you know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah.
So it was cool. Then as well, your first amateur title. Did you win the Evolution? Was that your first ever amateur title?
Yeah, I won the Evolution. I was supposed to fight Andrew McGill, who you fought at the Worlds. But then he pulled out on the Monday. And then
I fought on the same card, actually, believe it or not.
No way. There you go. That's mad. I didn't even know that.
I fought a guy called Matthew Ratowski. I don't know, can't remember what gym I was in my 6-year holiday. I remember I came back and Barry was like, went to Magaluf, and Barry was like, we're fighting 2 weeks after you come back. So, when I went away, I was like trying to eat healthy. I was trying to eat healthy. I was kind of fucking eating whatever I wanted, shivers, and I was drinking and all.
Sure, you know what? Like when you're that age,
I was just like,
even matter.
I was just like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna enjoy myself and gonna have a fight in 2 weeks. It was at 66. I'd make great 66 handy, But I ended up, I won. Bet him. I actually fucking. I knew I was like, right, I'm gonna probably have no cardio, so I was like, I'm gonna go out and just
go for it
and box the hell out of this fella. I just fucking
went for it.
And that was the first time in a fight that I ever just committed to landing boxing, because I was always afraid of being hit, and I just take them down. And I TKO'd him. I got fighter of the night that night, and I was like, fuck, and I was like, maybe I should strike a little bit more. And Barry was like, you land that shot. Barry said when he seen me land the punches, he was really flinching, and I was like, well, maybe I'll do that a little bit more. But that was your first win. So who ended up stepping in the fight?
Thomas Moore, I think, was it? Thomas Moore?
From the north.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's from now. That his name, Thomas Moore.
No, the ginger skinny fella. Yeah. I was meant he's from Cork or somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere down the country. Yeah, he had a good few fights. I remember, but I think it was Thomas Moore. And
I was meant to fight him before, and then a pro. And Pavel stepped in to replace him with me.
He was supposed to fight you. And he fought Dylan Logan. So he fought a few of the lads, But I fought him anyway, and then I got decision there, and that was your first title. And that was a good night. It was a good experience because I think it was the main event. And I
remember, bro. The setup and everything was class. That was the first time I was ever in it was a nice warm changing room, the TV, and the live stream.
It was a good little spot.
To Ciaran and his brother, they ran a lovely.
No, that was a good little spot. And I got a good few people going down to that as well. And I think I was 12 o'clock or something I fought, and so it was kind of that good experience of you know, fighting late and stuff. So that was my first amateur title, and then after that, then we went to the Worlds.
Yeah.
And you got the silver in the IMAF World Championships, and my brother Dara was with us there, and it was over in Vegas, and that was a class trip.
I'll actually never forget that, because I always say that that's my first time proper meeting you and Daryl, and you know, I just, because you know back then it's kind of like gym versus gym, not that regional,
especially
scene.
especially
then, man. It was really like, you know, what would you say, like I can't think of a word to describe a rivalry, but it was.
And I think even then, like as well, like that was our first, pretty much as Ireland, as a like team, I know France and that went away the year before, but like
it was kind of solo.
It was just SBG then.
It
was just Franz, James, and Sinead. But that year was the first year I was like, SBG, Rhino, you know, like there was a few of us, you know, so that was the first kind of team, you know, way. So it was like that.
It was, but like, you know, you had that kind of regional conflict, and you're like, all right. But then when we went over, it was like straight away everyone understood we're a team here. And I always say, because you and Daryl were probably one of the first two we talked to over there, because we all came around the same time. And I just I always said to Barry, even though I was like, them lads are fucking sound. Barry's like, they're like, Barry's like, they're good kids, like they'd be raised right now, you know what I mean? And I was like, fucking hell, like they are sound, because Barry would have got the impression from his instantly, you know what I mean? He's obviously a lot older and wiser. But I remember, like, we didn't even have like, we were like a lot of like lads just jumped in off the street. Now everyone had teen tracksuits. Everyone had like matching fresh, gear, country colours, and we're rocking up in fucking odd socks.
No, we didn't sit and care, like, you know. We were just real. We were, I don't know, just Irish and that thing.
Just like fucking, we're just rocking up and doing whatever. But like some great results of that as well. Matches Eaton winning gold. Me silver. Dave Fogarty silver.
It was great lads.
Matthew was a big surprise. Now I didn't.
Matthew, you think he didn't never fought, or he never. He only won a fight or something. He was like he flying.
He was the complete underdog going into it. If you had looked at all the fighters on paper beforehand, you wouldn't have picked Matthew to win. I think that's what made it more special.
And then I think Daryl, which was stupid actually. We actually could have got more medals that year, and I tell you why, because you fought Andrew McGill in the semis, which was Ireland against Ireland, and the other semis was Darryl England against England, and then Daryl and Hughie was in the quarters. And I was like, why don't you just put the Irish lads at the opposite side of the bracket? It's stupid, like,
I don't know. We were trying to contest that, but they just didn't want an all English or all Irish final, which is, in one way, I can understand, but it would have been nice to. It would have been, They don't want medal bias towards certain countries or whatever.
But I remember then you got to the final and I know you had the shoulder injury in that though, you know, but
still fucking dealing with that.
Stuff mentally. But that was a great little trip. And
then so like IMAF experience, because you've been to. I'm not gonna go through every competition you've done. You've been to a lot of them. For like younger fighters out there. What is I know what my take from it is just that, like, you can get nearly 2 years worth of fights or even 3 years worth of fights, depending how active you are in Ireland. Back then it was, sometimes you'd be busy, sometimes you wouldn't, but you can get nearly a year or two's worth of fights in 6 days. And that was just unreal for composure building, skill building, environment handling, do you know what I mean? All this, like, seeing as you've done like so much with the IMAF, what are your takebacks from doing it? Like, and one thing, I know it's expensive, and I know it's, you know, unless you have maybe good sponsors, if you work a job or whatever, it can be hard to go. But if you were to take the financial side out away from it, what do you feel are the benefits of it? Like, you know?
Yeah, definitely. The experience would be, and like you're getting to fight the best from each country every day, you know, the way. And like even at that as well, I think, which I really enjoyed, to be honest with you, is like I don't even pick me walkout tunes or not. Like that doesn't fade. Like, and I know it's funny because like we were talking with the WWE and that, maybe that's what got me into it. But like even now, the entertainment side of it, I've no need for it. I'd let someone else pick me tunes. Like, and I don't even care about all that. And I used to love like just walking out with your flag, and it's just like just the sport, the sport. It was just the sport, and like I used to really enjoy that. So if you want to like put away your banners and your sponsors and all that and stuff as amateurs, just have it as amateurs, but like then compete at the highest level. And I even remember like, I could be fighting you the next day and we're just sitting there like, and we're just getting the medicals and we're eating your breakfast and your man's sitting beside you, or like or you're getting your eye test done and he's sitting there. It just kind of It normalizes all that, right? Hold on, this is just a sport. And then I think then when you do go to like the fight hotels and all that, when we're pro and stuff, you kind of get used to all that.
Being around your opponent.
Yeah, just being around your opponent and just like take it for what it is, that it's a sport and that, you know, the way. So that was a big takeaway. And then obviously fighting the best in the world, like, you know what I mean? You got what, 4 or 5 fights in how many days?
Yeah.
I was able to get 3 at the most I got. I never medalled, unfortunately, but like, you know, just always able to get that much experience, especially now because like when we were starting an amateur and that, like, you remember, like, there was Rumble and Rushes every week or Man of Wars, or there was all these shows, but like now there's not much going on in the south, you know, so I think you can get a lot more experience, you know.
And like you said, you're competing against the best each country has to offer, which is a big part to play, and seeing where you are skill wise
100%
on a comparative basis. And one thing I'll never forget, just like the way like this and this always like normalised it for me as well. Like before you'd walk out to the cage, like you'd be standing on the blue mark and your opponent would be standing on the red mark, just side by side. I'm just looking at him going, like, you go first.
Yeah, it's mad, yeah.
It's very normalised, but
definitely.
So then, obviously then, good IMAX experience. We move on to us fighting. I remember.
Yeah, that was that year actually.
Yeah, I remember. Jays, man, I remember when they offered me the fight. It was up on Chaos in Derry, and I was actually, and I was so nervous to fight you that I was, because I knew, like, you know, from my perspective, I always thought like I always thought I was like smaller than everyone. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, he's gonna be bigger than me. He's gonna be like stronger than me, and this, that, and the other. And I built you up in my head to be this like big fucking animal. And I was like, shit. And then because I was doing this, like, it actually impacted me training for the fight. So I was like almost like finding ways to not train, just to have an excuse that if I lost, I just wouldn't be training. Do you know what I mean? And I just went, and I remember it was like around November we fought.
It was around November,
and it was cold and miserable, and I just had no desire to like get out and do me road work or go to the gym and do me strength work by myself and all this jazz. And I going into the fight, I was like I had zero confidence that I was gonna win. Yeah. And then it was like 2 days before the weigh in, and I was like, look, you have to. It's gonna happen regardless now, isn't it? I can't fight, and I just go out and fucking fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's not technical, it's not technical. If it is technical, it is technical. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. Yeah. And I made that kind of like agreement with myself. We went in then, and it was a fucking close fight. Like,
it was a good fight. Yeah, it was really good. Like, it was close. It was like. Like, I remember it was back and forth, just like fence work on the ground, getting back up down. It was close, like, you know.
You landed some lovely 1-2s, I landed 1-2.
I remember, I think the first exchange, you 1-2 left body kick, and then I tried to come back and punch. It was a great little fight, and you just got the upper hand. You were just getting the better in the grappling exchange, just getting on top.
Do you know what it was? You felt so powerful. I literally was like, I need to just get. I needed to grab her, hold this, and let him up. Do you know what I mean? And back then, like, just holding someone on the ground was enough to win. I was like,
no, it was a good fight. And then, but that for me was like, because I was always chasing. Because I wasn't medaling at and you had got the silver, I was like, I knew your level, and I was like that was my chance to like try and
step
like
up to that level. Like, if I'm beating
like, you know, like silver medalist, and you know you were battle zone champion, and like, you know, that they were that was a thing. That was like a thing, you know what I mean? And like, and there was, so I was like that was me, you know. But I never like I didn't get the win there, and it was only then like after then I was able to like start like picking up the wins against that caliber lads that like was world medalists, so you know I was able to get those wins then. But I was constantly just falling short of that level, like when it came to you lads, you know. I was like just trying to get there, but so they like all them were lessons, you know what I mean? All them were lessons, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you look at you now, like the resilience that obviously showed, the resilience that and the mental toughness that brought you to get you to this point. But then I'm going to lead into now, which is your pro career. So like, pro careers, you decide to make the switch, you get told that you're going to be signed by Bellator. What was that feeling like for you at that stage of your life?
My life, it was more that I was supposed to fight in the March. I was supposed to fight for a 24 amateur fights. I was supposed to fight in the March of 2019 for the UKFC belt in over in the UK. Actually fought a fella called Conor Hitchens, God love him, God rest his soul. Yeah, right. He was a great fighter as well. Another IMAF medalist, and he was actually ranked in the number one in the UK and Ireland at the time in our division. So that was like a fight that was. So I done really well against him over there. I think it might have been a split decision or something over there. And I got
that was a great fight.
Yeah, it was a great scrap, that one. And then I was trying to fight for the belt, 5 rounds. It was like me last amateur go. But he pulled out then, and then I think then the summer then I had a little niggle or something, I think. And then John Kent with the pro contract, but to be honest with you, it couldn't have come at a better time. I was 24, I had 24 amateur fights, like say there was certain lads, it's that age where there were certain lads, like they were maybe coming to the end of their apprenticeship, they were driving, they'd, things
you are looking at lads and going, they're a little bit more set than I am.
Things were starting to happen for people, and then for me it was like, I was at 13.
I'm still getting the fucking bus up to Dublin and
getting the Lewis, and I said, like, it was a lot of this external. It was probably me projecting myself, but things needed to happen then, But then actually that was the year I started driving.
Yeah,
I went pro. And John came to me with that contract, and like it was a good contract to start off, and with Bellator, like good money, and I was like, like I always say, like the Lord has a plan for us, and I truly believe that was it. Everything happened.
Fate actually led you to this moment.
It just came at the right time for me, and I even remember I always laugh, like it was at the stage where, like, like when we're training twice a day, like the washing and all that is like the nightmare. Man. You don't even talk to bring that up, but like I remember I was going down to like get me girlfriend to bring like me washing down, because me mother's heart be broke, and I'd be going down me little pennies at McDonald's into the
laundromat.
And I'd be getting like into the little pennies. Like I know it sounds like poor me. It was not like that, but I always remember that. I always remember like that. Like, I didn't even have the few pounds to go into the. But it was just those little times I remember, and then it just came at a great time, and I won that, and then I won my pro debut in the Tree Arena, and then I was able with that few
domination.
And that few quid I got then, actually I never had my own room growing up. My brother, we always shared the room. And I ended up, I just built a little digs at the back, Brilliant. So like that was a great year. That was a great year,
that was you starting to get a bit of independence then in your personal life, and so you got set up driving, you got on the road in your personal life. Then you get your own space. You and your girlfriend have a bit of alone time.
It's just
it was basically the start of you being growing as a man outside of the sport then as well.
It was, and like a little bit kind of like, like you have your, even like say, for yourself, even like you had your car and so, just those little things. It was nice. So that kind of, that was good. That was a good time.
And it gives you that little bit of like, not that you wouldn't be confident without, but like when you start to do that, you start to feel there's a certain like self-esteem builder. Like, I'm getting. You start to see it fall into place, maybe because like that's probably something as little as you just having your own room is something that, like, people have that all their life, and I know it's just big houses you're in with all your family, you're sharing rooms. I shared a room with my little sister for years until I got my own room. Do you know what I mean? So like when you're in situations like that, when you actually get like you fantasize over the smallest things, but the smallest thing is like substantial for you to be like, this is me, I have my own personal private space.
I know that sounds like that's probably ridiculous to some people, but that was just the way my mindset was, and that was me at the time. Like that was like such a, and like to be driving and get the full license, and that was such a thing, because like at that stage at 24 I was thinking, like with the few pounds I was spending on training and getting up and down, and I was only working 2 days a weekend.
Like chasing your tail.
Yeah, I was like, like, will I ever drive, to buy it, so but yeah, that was a great year. I went pro then, and then that was the start of the Bellator contracts, and so.
And some like anyone who's watches your fight knows that, you're just an absolute dog. Do you know what I mean? Like, and even on the mats, like, it's just, I love sparring with you because like I just know this is gonna be a relentless pressure put on me, and relentless was the
the name of the documentary.
It all ties into it, like your personality, because that's the type of mindset that you are. You're a relentless person, and like, when we're doing the wall rounds and stuff like that, it's just, I know that and that's why I love on you, because you will not let up. And for me, a training partner like that is gonna obviously get the best out of me, because I'm gonna have to be switched on. So like, it's just your style. You've shown some amount of like adversity and you've came through some amount of adversity, shown some amount of heart, like, you know, being in positions where you're getting rocked or illegally up kicked, and still managing to pull it out of the bag, where most people probably would be looking to quit and, you know, take the DQ or take the no contest, and it's just not in you. You're just bred a different way, aren't you?
Like, no, I just think it was just I mean, you know, it's like Roy Keane says, like, I think, you know, he says like how, like, you know, they like praise him and stuff, like he's kind of like, he shies away from it a bit, but I understand what you're saying. Like, you're supposed to like praise a postman for being a postman, and then we're fighters, and then people, it's funny because like people admire us so much, like you know, that kind of like, you know, having that like no quit mentality around, but it's like, we're fighters, man. Like, I mean, if we don't have that, like, I mean,
if you're bred a different way, you know, you're not gonna make it in this sport.
Like, I don't know, like, people, and I get it, right, fair enough, people can admire it and that, but like, I don't know, like, I think that's just like what you have to be a fighter, especially.
It's like a non-negotiable,
like, we are, like,
mindset,
you know, like, you as well, and I mean, like, you know, that's just a non-negotiable. But as well, it's something that people admire in our sport, which is kind of mad, like, because, you know, like, but anyway, that's it, like, you know, it's just that comes for the years of training and that as well, and just having tough rounds to use. You know what I mean? Having the tough rounds and lads hanging in your neck or getting cracked of punches in training, and you know, it's just, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just all those years of training,
experience, like hardship,
all the fights, and
all the days on the mats like that where you don't want to train, but you're forcing yourself to go, and you get through it, and you come out of the session and you're going, oh, it wasn't so bad. You know what I mean? Them types of days, and it builds up, and over time, then it shapes your character. And like you said, I think people admire it, but I think people admire it more. And I always thought about this, like, you know, everyone has real respect for fighters because they know how serious what we do. But do you know that whole dog mentality that we have and the way we're shaped? I think sometimes people wish they had that in them, so it reflects through them to be so appreciative of what we have, and it's not like they're jealous of it, but it's more, they more admire it. But like, some people, like, even like my girlfriend, for example, like, she just sometimes she thinks I'm just too away with it, like so I'm just like, I'd be grand. I'm like, I'm just like, it'd be grand, like, or else she'd be like worrying about something, and I'd be like, it's like, she's like, do you not care about this? And I'm like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it happens, I'll just work around it. Like, it's not going to impact me. And then like all the whole family just like, because she's from Cavan, I'm a Dove, but it was like
definitely different clashes there.
And you know, the like contrast of like where I'm from and stuff like
different
that.
Cultures
they see me, right, and they're like few of our family, they just think like I'm quite a positive person, and I'm not really negative, and I'm a bit of crack and
optimistic,
and whereas like even with Lauren, she'd be like sometimes I'm too optimistic, and then I'm like, you're just too, like, we'll both look at the same situation and she'll pick out negatives, and I'll pick out positives. You know what I mean? It's just funny how two different minds work. I suppose that's yin and yang.
It's actually funny because like my nanny there during the week, like, it's like she'd be like that now. She'd be that kind of type, bit pessimistic, you know. Just that's
that generation.
That generation. But like, I was talking to someone and they seen it, and I was like, I says, it is what it is, you know, like that. Like, sure, it is what. And then she's laughing at me like, it is what it is, you know. Like, all this. And I'm like, you know what I mean? What was
that? Not the right mindset.
What am I supposed to do here? You know what I mean?
And then actually, I want to touch on this, bro, because I just know from myself, since I got with my girlfriend, you know what I mean, she's changed my life for the better. So what did your girlfriend mean to you, and your relationship mean to you?
Well, look, just talking about her name's Lauren as well.
Two MMA fighters with two girlfriends called Lauren. It's not a stereotype at all, is it?
But up the Laurens. But no, basically, when you're talking about that there, being pessimistic, or, you know, but Lauren would be like that. She'd be so like, she'd be like, when I was going for the fight with the knee, like, she was like, I know you can do it. Like, she'd be really optimistic. Now we'd be laughing, thinking, are we mad? Like, are we like? But she
what's the fine line between optimism and delusion?
Yeah, it was that, and she's just like, she's like, like, I know you can. Like, you know,
so she knows your mental strength.
She's like, I know you can do it. Like, I actually think you can still win it. You know, and like, and I love hearing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even like actually like believe it or not, actually like talking with me nanny and that, like she'd be like, but she was actually even like, oh no, the Lord will give you an open. I know, I really do. So I was getting all, I was feeding off that.
The energy that was giving you was
I was feeding off it. But anyway, looked. The knee was like an accordion, I was told. It was literally, it had to be done. But anyway, not to go back to that, but Lauren, like I'm with her now 15 years in August. I'm with her since I'm 30 in May, and I'm with her since I'm 15.
Jesus,
so
that's brilliant.
Some stint together. Literally just before I started MMA, I got with Lauren, and she's been there from the very start to now. And
so
like,
she's seen everything, ups, downs,
everything.
middle roads, back roads.
She's seen everything, so she's been there since the start, and like I wouldn't be where I am today because first of all, I was with Lauren, and the two of us, we have our same, we'd laugh, or we'd call each other, we don't say chalk and cheese, we say cheese and chalk, because we're so opposites in the sense of like certain like small interests, but when it comes to big things in life, we're exactly in line. And that's obvious, with each other that long.
Yeah, kind of moral values.
Do you get me?
Like
that'd be in line, but then like everyone else's interests and stuff would be
like music tastes or
this and that, like trying to watch a film or decide what to eat. It's odd, But those type of things. But like on the big things. But like I mean, like so when I was like starting me, like I wasn't single, so I wasn't going out.
Yeah.
And then going out drinking or anything like that, like because like that's normal for people that are single. Yeah, it's maybe a way they have to go out and see. They'll maybe socialise to meet people and find someone. But for me, I wasn't doing that because of number one, that I was with Lauren, and number two, then I was training for fights always. Yeah. So it actually kept me straight now. Yeah. And so did Lauren, So and like I said, she's just that person in my life, and I wouldn't be where I am without her. And that's the God's honest truth. And of course, all my family and that as well. But Lauren is me rock, like
just soulmate. Yeah,
she's gonna love you now for bringing you up.
I wanted to get to talk about it because like I'm with my girlfriend. I'll be with my girlfriend now 3 years this year. This funny our anniversary is 9/11. So
I'll never forget that.
I'll never forget that. So I'm always gonna be in the remembrance of that date, you know what I mean? So it worked out perfect and timed it well.
Mine's in August, I know that.
But I just know for the last few years now, my girlfriend has been a big part to playing me. Like you said, being focused, not wanting to go out and act the bollocks or like, and just man, it was the first time in my life that like, and it sounds like gay, but it's the first time in my life that I've been in love, do you know what I mean? Like proper in love, and like someone I know someone actually loves me back.
Do you know what? It's funny, I'll just mention this because you're in love with MMA, yeah?
Yeah.
But the thing about MMA is, and I think that's another thing for us to really like, and that's when it comes to like having like things that matter outside it.
Yeah.
Sometimes MMA doesn't love you back.
I don't think MMA loves anyone.
That's what I'm saying. And like, and the next later you find someone that does, and you're like, right, that's what matters in life. Yeah. And I think when you have that, you're like, you actually become more dangerous in a way because you're like, I'm doing this because I want it, not because I have to or anything when it comes to MMA. And I think having like these people in our life, that's what makes you put into perspective. And like you said there, when you have someone that loves you back, and again, with this sport, you give it everything. And then unfortunately, we see it too many times. It doesn't love you back, and you don't deserve anything because it's just, at the end of the day, it is just a sport.
And it's almost like a selfish pathway that, like it's our own selfish desires bringing us down. And like we want to sacrifice all this to achieve this glory for our own selfish reasons.
It is, and look, it's a mad one, but like that again, when that stage of life ends, then we have.
You have something to fall back to.
You have your rest of your life to look forward to.
That's something that, like, especially it's now getting older and mature, and like thinking like obviously you're doing your teaching course stuff like that. I've always been like thinking about like what am I gonna do after and stuff like that. And she's always like to me, would you not just get like a normal job? And I was like, I can't. It's just me brain. Like I can't just go work in an office. Do you know what I mean? Like I need to do something a little bit more hands-on or something a little bit more challenging and like whatever. But she's always at me to pick a more stable career. As you would when you're in a relationship like that.
Of course. And like people don't. Well, I'm sure they do, but like we don't win. It's half the money, and that comes a lot of stresses as well. And like talking about
a circle,
and talking about what you want to do after, I actually just wanted to say this as well because it's a good opportunity. I mentioned the course I'm doing. I'm studying part time at the minute, doing the PE teaching at the
which is a brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I'm really enjoying it, and it was actually I'll be honest with you, it was actually the likes of you that inspired me to do it, and the likes of Brad Catonas. And I'll tell you why. When you came to the gym, you were full time. You were manager on Aldi, and I was like, I seen how good you were. You were a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I seen how good you were, and like you were doing so well professionally. And I was like, he's doing all that, and he's that good. And then I look at the likes of Brad out there. He's an engineer, and like how good he is in the UFC. And I was like, I've nothing here to like. And if you had to sell it to 20-year-old Ciaran, it was always plan B.
Yeah.
But now you talk to 30-year-old Ciaran Early, it's not plan B. It's what we're gonna do for the next 30 years of my life after fighting.
It's not even
because there's a life after fighting.
It's not even and this is what I try to now when kids these days talking about I want to be an MMA fighter and this and that, like over the last while I got loads of like messages like over the last like few years or whatever, kids like saying, oh, any advice, blah blah blah. And my number one advice is get a trade first, or get a trade first or something, and work and fight at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Make some income for yourself so you're able to live. Fight amateur. If you're able at a stage where you can go pro, but still work. And then, like you said, if God blesses you with the luck that sometimes you need, you know what I mean, and the opportunity presents itself to you, then maybe you can quit your job and take the risk if you can always go back. But for me, I just could never sacrifice, like, cause I had a car, like I've got a car loan, and I fucking was earning €2,000 a month, say, and then I was spending it all, and I needed to fund me training, and I needed to do this and the other. So for me, leaving the job was never an option up until I just was at my wit's end, and I came to this kind of crossroads where there was like, and I know you're saying, look how good I got with it, but I was like, look how good I am with a job. How much, where could I be if I didn't have a job?
And you made the right decision. You did. But that was my thinking about it, and like we did chat about it and that, because you were talking about, but like, because like I was in the schools and that, doing a bit of like training with them and stuff with the T-boys. The likes of all we've all done. And I was enjoying it. I was like, I could. It's healthy, you can have a healthy lifestyle. They were finished at 2:30 most days. I was like, hold on here, I could train, I could stay healthy. If I do have a family, which I do plan on having one in the future, like, it's sociable. You get I was like, I could see
work hours, walk around, family life.
I always like would love to work with the youth, like to be a good example and to make an impact. So I was like, this is like, this was like, it was faith, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
it's funny then, because I felt like I was the same when I was doing it in the school, and you see like the fun that they have, and you're like, if I can make an impact on at least 2 or 3 kids' lives, in the class, because I remember in school, the good teachers were few and far between. You know what I mean? You'd really be looking for a teacher who like you really kind of connected with, and like, do you know, when you can have a laugh with and this and that, and you always like, that's because as we said today, I had PE as my first subject in the CAO after school. That's why I wanted to be a PE teacher as well, for like me breaks and the summer holidays and teaching sport. I was just mad into teaching kids sport because I just think it's so important for young kids.
That's another
sport.
Podcast.
Yeah, we go all day on that, and I'd rant about fucking people's lifestyles all day. I could go with that. I could, it'd be an hour of me just ranting about that type of stuff. But it's funny because you make an impact on one kid's life, and they can just excel them down a path.
It's mad. And just you talking about what the impact teachers had on you, even, But so that's kind of that. So I'll be busy, with that, doing my studying and stuff, and like that, and that was a big thing. It didn't get in the way of. It was all in your own time. It didn't get in the way of your training. I was able to still train twice a day. Come up to Dublin and train, and the weekends then I was up in the college on the laptop. And it's been working out grand, and it's so I'll be busy now. I'll be able to catch up in the college work now since I can physically.
Do extra bit of
exactly.
Studies.
So that's it. Like, so but that's kind of been, that's what's at really at the minute. So,
and we'll touch just kind of lastly on just your religion, your faith in God. Like, I know over the last few years you've been really like proper into it, and there's a certain spiritual connection that you have there that's obviously prominent in your life, that even with me, like, I can see how much that means to you and how much it actually impacts you for the better. So were you always religious, or when you're younger, did you not really give a bollocks until you maybe face some hardships or face some adversity to then lead you back to God. Like,
yeah, no, I'm glad you did know, but I'm just looking at the time. How long do we have? But no, listen. To keep it short, I suppose, and you know, I was very Catholic. You know, I was raised by my mum and my nanny, and they were, you know, very they had strong faith. You know, so you know, it was always a Sunday go to mass and the you know, the holy obligation days and stuff. You know, Easter, Christmas, and you know, we really enjoyed it, and we you know, we prayed every night and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean, and you know, that took with me now through my teen years and stuff. Then stopped going to mass on Sundays, and
you become a bit more of a rebel.
That type of thing. But always
natural teenage behaviour.
Natural, and then I because I was doing training full time, I had to work Saturday and Sundays. I was working 24 hours over the Saturday.
No mass.
So for a good few years of my life, I wasn't there, and then but then I just grew stronger in my faith through actually my brother and stuff as well. And we were going away to IMAF trips together and doing this. You know, like doing this sport, it's actually like being a Catholic and a fighter is actually very similar.
Yeah.
What is it? It's, you know,
discipline. It's
discipline. It's discipline it's discipline now for the greater good.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You know what I mean? So it was that, and then as well, then you know, in tough times, you know,
just having someone to
who you turn to, you know what I mean, and not knowing and like even though this situation, you know, it's God's will. You know, there's another plan, and there's another plan in motion, and I know there is maybe something bigger and better is going to happen, and I know for now this is what's to happen, and it's to make me stronger, and I have to see that there's a silver line in everything, and it's not a coincidence, it's God instance, you know what I mean? So that's it, you know, and yeah, like I mean, it's grown over the years, and again another thing as well, Nate, I think like you'd appreciate this as well. It's like you're constantly, for me, I'm preparing for a loss mentally. And I don't know how this sits well with people, but it's like, because I know if I lost, it'll be devastating.
Yeah.
But it puts into perspective your life that, no, you've given it your all to this sport and this is your job and stuff, but it isn't the be all end all.
Yeah.
And
doesn't really define who you are as
really
a person,
what it is,
actually, values are like.
Really what it is, like, does a win or a loss? No, it doesn't. You know, like, do you know what I mean? And that's another what's great about the gyms in general. Like, you could come in, like, you know, like I remember specifically Lee Hammond come in after his loss and that, and then like I was just like, we all know how good Lee is.
Yeah.
Or like even like after your last loss and here in the tournament, like it's like we all know how good Nate Kelly is.
Yeah.
But like, we're all just preparing for the next thing. We all like, the loss doesn't really take away how good you are. Yeah. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
This wasn't. Because I just say, my thing was that I lost that night, and I was like, I believe everything happened. I mean, fate works in a funny way, and fate has just led me to not win that night. Do you know what I mean? It's opened my eyes to some decisions I made in the ring, but like, you know, for me personally, like, God, like, I wouldn't have really been religious, like say Catholic family. Nanny would have brought me to mass, would have went to mass or Christmas. I mean, if because I lived with my nanny for 6 years. So my nanny used to take me to church a lot.
Oh, that was the buzz when I lived with my nanny up until I was 9. So
yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
So
with my mum and dad,
like went to church with my nanny because my mum would be working, so my nanny would bring me to church. I go open like the candles in the afternoon and on the weekend.
Just a traditional Irish.
Nanny, you know. Picture of God, Jesus on the top of the landing, you know. But I would have never really. I was just like, I was a bit of a like. Maybe just the way I was a kid, I just had zero like attention or focus, like unless I was watching a cartoon as a kid, I just didn't care about anything. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that was I could go into that. I think that was my like safe space and my coping mechanism was that. So everything around me, I just didn't care about. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just watching me cartoons and like sitting in the corner eating me biscuits. Do you know what I mean? That was me.
Well, it's funny because that's like, again, not to get too much in it, but that's what kind of mass does. And I know like people, it's boring, but actually, especially now the kids, you know the kids are now, they're just flicking and flick. But actually, you go there for the 40 minutes, and it's like, you have to sit there.
Yeah,
You're forced to actually apply yourself to
what the priest is
saying. So there is, you know, if you want to get into it, like scientifically and look at the actual, like, what you're doing for your body even, or your mind, you know, so.
But yeah, like, that's what I was saying about, like, my faith. Like, I would have always been, like, I never would have been really religious. I was kind of be like, no, I don't believe in that. Do you know what I mean? Just because, like, it's funny because when you're younger, I was like, I don't care about it, whatever. But the older I'm getting now, the more I'm kind of been like, because I'm just, And even still, I wouldn't say like I'm like.
No, of course, I'm
a devout Catholic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
never trust someone that says that they're a devout Catholic.
Because you always have your flaws
no,
there,
definitely not.
But over the last like few years, like I've been at like now it sounds terrible, but the most mass I've been to just funeral masses, stuff. But sometimes it's just when you're hearing what the priest is saying about the lasting effect that like death and the afterlife and how God is going to be working with those who follow on. It gives you that bit of hope that whoever passes on is in a safer space. But like I said, over the last few years now, when I was going through my time of depression, I was like God isn't real. If God was real, I wouldn't be going through this. And I was like, it's me on my own. Like, I don't believe in God, I believe in me. That was my mentality. I was like, I was like, God isn't gonna get me out of this hole. I'm gonna get myself out of this hole. Only me. So in a narcissistic way, I was like, I'm God.
I get you.
I was like, I'm fucking God. I'm gonna get myself out of this hole. But I think that was me in a self-destructive mindset. And I hope I don't piss off the Catholics and saying that. But that was my way of dealing. But like now when I'm getting older, I see how much religion has an impact. Even when I was in Dubai with my missus, she's living over there now, and you see just how the Islam community all are in tune with their religion, and you kind of compare it. And I'm like, it's funny because like I won't go too long on this, but like if you look at any other religion, it's taken so seriously. But whereas if you're a Catholic, and you're into religion, like you're almost like made fun of in Ireland, especially. There's like a certain like ignorance to it nowadays. It's
look, there's certain things that happen and in Irish culture and things for those reasons. And then talking about you as well, you when you mentioned about good teachers and all that definitely, and there's good and bad teachers, there's good and bad priests as well. So
100%.
and
some of the nicest,
they're the people that I just I came across good ones and that as well. But and then talking about all those things. But I think Ireland's funny because they're very quick to point to the cross and say that's how you live your life.
Yeah.
And then what they'll do is they'll look and they'll judge it off the cross. And they'll point to other people and say you're doing this, but they never look at themselves. And that's the Irish mentality. They'll look at the cross because they know that's how to live, but they'll judge other people off, but they never judge themselves.
Yeah, it's look what he's doing, look what they're doing. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that when that person is probably the worst person of them all, and they're deflecting this judgment and this blame to everyone else.
Well, Jesus said, "Take out the plank in your own eye before you point out the splinter in your eye," and that's the truth. You know what I mean? But again, that's another podcast, Nate. I don't want I'm glad you brought it up, but it's so many things we could talk about.
I just wanted to bring it up because like I feel like over the last while, like I've been really getting into the whole like faith, like not even like me faith, like not even my faith, but I just believe that faith has a way of working. Now, who controls the faith? I don't know. Is it God? Is it chance? Is it I don't know, but all I know is that faith is a real thing. Faith happens and works in mysterious and wonderful ways. Like my last loss, I was like, faith just led me to lose that night. I could have won that fight 9 times out of 10, but on the night, faith made me face this adversity.
It was your story.
It was my part of my journey. Now, like this thing for you, your knee is like, faith has a weird way of working. Unfortunately, this is the situation, but this has to have a purpose somewhere down the line. So I just thought it'd be nice to mention that towards the end.
Definitely, and it's actually probably a nice way to
finish it off.
I think so. It's and then your fate is in your hands now, and your story's still to be told now in 2 weeks, man. And I'm buzzing for you.
We're getting there, Annie. I'm just good at that. You're not going to be over there with us, because obviously I was like, my plan was to potentially just stay for yours.
No way.
I was thinking
you're
about...
sick of me, don't even say that.
I was thinking about doing it, and then but it all just depended on the circumstances. But then when you done your knee, I was like, right, I'm obviously so I end up going the opposite. I end up booking a flight back out to see me missus. I'm going to have to see me missus for 2 weeks now instead after.
That's good.
Because I'm obviously putting all the eggs in one basket. I make it to the tournament. I'll win the first round and win the second round, which will be 10 weeks later. So I'll have 2 weeks with her and then back to
back
prepare for the next one. But
I'm buzzing.
Thanks for joining us, bro. First one underway.
Thanks for having me the first. I need to draw the jersey next one.
I know. I could go and have another podcast with him. We can talk for hours about other shit, but up the balls. Shane Farrell's a scumbag playing for Drogheda. That's all I'll say. But he's a turncoat. Yeah, thanks for being on, bro. Thanks for sharing your story and talking about your injury. And love you, bro. Yeah,
legend, man. Thanks,
nice
brother. Legend, man.